is the tale of the cursed well. Konnichiwa, minasan! Today we'll be diving in a story you might actually be slightly familiar with, even if you don't know it. Are you ready for story time, my lovely viewers? Our story today is Banchō Sarayashiki, often translated into English as The Dish Mansion at Bancho. Don't worry, the fine china isn't the thing to be afraid of. This haunted tale instead stars the once radiant servant Okiku, whose beauty brought her tragedy. Plus, it's also about a certain well. Well, does that ring a certain bell? Okiku's tale of misfortune is one of Japan's 3 greatest ghost stories and has many tellings over the years, many of which have inspired all sorts of things. One of the most famous being the horror film The Ring. You know, the one that made it impossible to watch TV late at night. What? That's just me? Oh. Anyways, moving on. Welcome to Himeji Castle, my dear viewers. But while the setting of our story looks like this now, it was different back then. Come back in time with me as I regale the tale. Once upon a time, around the year 1500, the lord of Himeji Castle, Norimoto Kodera, has a trusted regent named Tessan Aoyama. You see, despite Norimoto's faith, Tessan's loyalties can be a bit suspect. Together with his vassal, Danjiro Chonotsubo, a nefarious plot was brewing. Fortunately, Lord Norimoto had his loyal retainer, Motonobu Kinugasa. Motonobu detected that something's afoot and set his own plan in motion. He arranged for someone to serve in Aoyama Tessan's household as a maid, but more importantly, as a spy. It was his lover, the ever-beautiful Okiku. There, she became so trusted and vital to the house's well-being that she was given a task of great importance: to maintain the Aoyama family's most prized treasure, a set of 10 beautiful and delicate plates. So prized, in fact, that a single crack could lead to punishment by decapitation. But despite this, she handled her tasks with grace and eloquence, and was admired by many members of the household. One of them was Danjiro, whose appreciation was far more possessive than most. Dark, greedy. Every day, Danjiro tried to woo Okiku, yet she politely rejected him each and every time.
One day, Okiku, you will be mine. I'll make sure of it.
The time finally came for Tessan and Danjiro's assassination plan to set into motion. Okiku caught wind of this and reported to Motonobu in secret. My love, be quick! The Lord's life is in danger!
Thank you, Okiku. Once the Lord is safe, I will whisk you away from this place.
This allowed Norimoto to escape, but at the expense of Tessan seizing control of the castle. Tessan, suspicious of how Norimoto managed to escape, ordered Danjiro to flush out the mole among their ranks. Danjiro, however, had his own agenda. He then accused Okiku of being the spy, but offered his silence in exchange for her hand in marriage. I cannot. My heart belongs to someone else. Okiku, of course, denied his accusations, and without proof, Danjiro had to back off. Unable to bear further rejection, he became desperate. So he hid one of the 10 plates that were treasured possessions of the Aoyama family, knowing, of course, that Okiku, the one responsible for their care, would take the blame, all according to Keikaku.
Oh, Okiku, my dear Okiku, have you noticed something out of place?
He says with a serpentine smile as he points towards where the plates are displayed. At first, Okiku was confused, but upon inspection, counting them one by one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Her face turned pale in complete disbelief. She counted and she recounted and then she counted again. Despair crept upon her face as she came to the same answer every time. 9! 9 plates!
Oh, Okiku, my precious Okiku, what are you to do? If you ask nicely, I could try to cover for you.
For a moment, her face began to lighten with relief. But then he continued,
But wasn't it for me to stick my neck out for you? Become my wife, Okiku. Become mine.
Despite the intense sense of dread, Okiku cannot betray her heart's desire. It beats only for one man, and that man is Motonobu. Danshiro did not take this rejection well. After all this, yet she still refused? It drove him into madness. Danshiro beat her and tied her suspended above a well, then asked her to reconsider. No! He then dunked her in the well, only bringing her back up to beat her and asked if she has changed her mind. Yet her answer remains, no! Over and over again he tortured her, till the villain gave his ultimatum.
I have been patient enough. Choose wisely, woman. Be mine or...
Danshiro lost his grip as he sent Okiku falling down into the well. One last time, never to be heard from again. Or so they thought. Every night, a voice could be heard from this well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. For you see, her spirit, drowning in despair and grief, could not move on to the afterlife. She became an onryo, a vengeful spirit. Her grief could be heard from the well as her voice echoes throughout the castle grounds, slowly counting the plates. People who heard her counting became ill, but those who heard her make it to 9 and heard her shriek met a far worse fate. In time, Motonobu and his companions eventually destroyed Tessan and his conspirators. To honor Okiku, she was enshrined in Junisha Shrine as Okiku Daimyojin, or Great Shining Okiku, a deity. That's our story for you today. People say that you can still hear Okiku every night, desperately counting and crying in the well of Himeji Castle, which turned into a tourist attraction. But let's face it, Himeji Castle is really beautiful and worth the visit. This story remains to be very popular here in Japan, and you'd be amazed how many pieces of media you've consumed over the years that take reference or take inspiration from this iconic tale. Do you know any examples that you can think of? I'd love to hear about them down in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. These things all do a lot to help us grow and to show YouTube we're making something special. Thank you so much for joining us today. Till next time, またね!